Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Study Break Podcast. On today's episode, we take you to Washington, D.C., where SNHU staff member Spencer sat down with MBA graduate Kevin. Kevin graduated with his MBA in the fall of 2025 and is hoping to use his degree to become a leader in the workplace. You'll hear Kevin talk about what it took to earn that degree and who inspired him along the way. So let's kick it over to Spencer's conversation with Kevin.
I'd love to hear a little bit about what motivated you to prioritize college at all, but specifically what led you to an MBA. So let's kind of go back before you ever went to SNHU. What was your relationship like with school? What did education mean to you?
High school, I think I didn't really focus a lot on education. I used to play sports, and that was basically my focus or my life overall. But when I got out of high school and then went to another school for a little bit, college for a little bit, for a year and a half, the path was not set. I hadn't set a path for myself. So what I did during that time is I started working. And what I saw is within the space of just being part of the workforce, having a degree does still have some sort of effect. And at the end of the day, it pairs up with experience. But at the end of the day, for me, it was just personal. I took it as a personal goal for my family, for my mother, for my grandmother.
Were you the first in your family to graduate?
Oh, yeah. First graduate with a master's, yeah.
What does it feel like to say that out loud, that you were the first to do all these things?
That's a great question. I mean, to be completely honest, it doesn't feel, because I want to keep doing more, right? So I think there's a lot of first times to a lot of things that I can do. So, I mean, it feels good, but in my mind, I just want to keep going.
Do you have a vision of what the next thing might be?
Absolutely. I have a 5-year plan right now, which is to, just reach higher levels of what I work, which there's a lot of opportunity. And obviously with that goes having, the right network and everything else. So I do want to retire early. I do want to give my family also the opportunity to, live a good life. So next 5 years are pivotal.
Who would you say is the biggest influence on you?
Either my mom, my grandmother, and then just some people that I've met throughout the way, right? During college, maybe my coach. There's not really just one person that inspires me to become better, is because when you're exposed to multiple people, there's always somebody that adds on to that. But initially, my grandmother, she raised me.
And it really does sound like there's this sense that, it takes a village, or there's a whole family, there's a whole team that makes you who you are and you make them who they are. I think it's beautiful that you have that perspective. You
got to have some sort of support, which is mom calling you to check in, right? Significant other checking on you, or making you your favorite breakfast. Small things, but they go a long way,
Tell me more about what was it about an MBA that was attractive to you?
I want to understand how I can lead people better. How can I have better conversations with them? How can I impact organizations or, businesses, so then we can, just grow revenue.
Do you remember the moment that you were yeah, I definitely made the right choice. This is the school for me?
Oh yeah, because it was quick. I appreciate efficiency, right? So it was a quick process, you know what I mean?
What about this sort of general support that you kind of got through the school? Would you say you had kind of a team behind you?
My advisor here, he used to reach out hey, how you doing? Is there anything that I can do for you? To be able to have that type of support was super important, because at the end of the day, I have a job and I'm a little bit busy. So just being able to be reminded made the experience also a good one.
Was there ever a point where you believed that you couldn't keep going with your education? Or
I did feel, and I believed at some point, that maybe I could fall short, right? And that could be maybe because of the language, right? The language barrier, or, things that I thought were not in my control.
How did you overcome those voices that were nope, you can't do this, and encourage yourself to you can do this. I do have this. I am smart enough. I am capable. How did you do that?
It did take some time, took a lot of reading, a lot of, meditation, a lot of just self-talk.
We talked about leadership being sort of a major incentive for you to pursue this degree. When you imagine like a great leader, what are like some qualities that come to mind for you? Like, what does a good leader look like?
A good leader to me is somebody who receives not just feedback, but also opinion properly. And then they are able to either use that information to create maybe a plan, for example, a development plan for an employee. They also have to have the capability to understand people. You know, you're in a position of management, of leadership. People look up to you, firstly by example, but then just be able to, you know, have better conversations with people, understand people.
I can tell even from just like having this conversation with you right now that like you prioritize that sort of relationship building, that sort of genuine interest in being engaged, locked in, I think is how you described it before. So it's cool that seems to light you up.
I'll be honest with you, I love what I do. It doesn't feel like a job. I mean, it was the same with, you know, getting my master's. In my perspective, I think we all need to be challenged like every single day. Because if we are not challenged, if we don't, you know, pursue things that maybe make us uncomfortable, we get complacent.
Are there any particular like skills or like maybe like a piece of information that you got from your MBA program that you find yourself using in your daily work?
The concentration was in finance, so there was a lot of financial management. So that allowed me to understand some of the nuances of maybe a financial analysis, for example. There was a lot of information that I use on a daily basis.
Was there anything about your program that was especially like surprising to you?
What surprised me is like how easy it was for me to adapt, like put that into my schedule, right? Because not a lot of schools do that. Having that flexibility, that did surprise me. You work and then let's say you go to the gym or you want to do some stuff, right? Some other development stuff. You have a business. Being able to do school while doing all those things, that was surprising.
Do you have any like tricks or advice for someone who might be thinking like, oh, no way, like how could I possibly make time to do a program like this?
Yeah, your calendar is your best friend. But, you know, being able to know what days you need to submit an assignment, for example, helps you set up that calendar, right? Like set up those days. So the best tip that I would give to somebody, get a calendar, right? Something that reminds you perhaps that there are things that you need to do, and just either write it down or put it on your phone.
We talked a little bit about people that inspire you, and I just love to end on this note of who do you want to inspire? Who do you hope sees you and feels compelled to be like you or change their life like you did?
Passing down that message to maybe somebody that needs it, right? Because at the end of the day, somebody needs to hear something from somebody that is going to maybe help him out in life. So, but initially, anybody who's around me, my inner circle, my kids, my significant other, like even my parents or my mom, right? Those are the people that I want to inspire initially, and then if it transitions and it translates to somebody else, then that's great.
But thank you so much, Kevin.
No
I appreciate your time. You are awesome to talk to, and thank you.
No, absolutely. It's a pleasure. Thank you.